And you gave a nice award to Mr. Tom DiPrima this morning, and I wondered if you'd explain what that award is for.
Our Air District has provided that award since the inception of the Air District in '97. And we call it the A.I.R.E Award, A.I.R.E, which is Achievement in Reducing Emissions. And the award recipient has typically done things above and beyond the typical things that folks would do to better air quality in the Antelope Valley. In the case of KB Home, they've really pushed the solar portion of their homes, where some of their solar homes actually generate more power than what is used by the resident. In addition to that, it makes the home more affordable also. So not only are we benefiting the homeowner, but also our local environment. Some of the homes, they have what they call smog-eating tiles that they've put on the home, where they have a catalyst that's injected into the tile that actually roofs the home. And that catalyst can help break down emissions that create smog. So it basically reduces some of the emissions also. So those are some of the reasons that they were awarded our A.I.R.E Award for 2012-2013. And
have they been awarded that before?
No, sir. They have not.
This is the first time.
Yeah. This typically it's local businesses or advocates for air quality in our area, but this is the first time that KB has been recognized.
Okay. And what do you encourage businesses to do, normal businesses, not only home builders, but normal businesses here in the Antelope Valley? How can they help clean up the air?
It really depends on the type of business. And depending on the type of business will also result in the type of pollutant that they emit. Let's take auto painting, for example. A lot of those businesses have been able to convert from solvent-based paints to water-based paints, which greatly reduce the amount of emissions. We've worked with a lot of the local farmers here where they use diesel engines to pump water or to drive their farm implements. Earlier in the meeting today, we provided some grant funds to help Calandry Sunrise Farms change some of their tractors to newer, cleaner tractors. We've provided grant funds in the past for water pumping to remove diesel engines and actually use electricity instead. So those are some of the things that local businesses can do.
Good. Do you think, Mr. Chris, that we're winning the battle overall with cleaning up the air?
Yes. It's a long process. I was raised in the Antelope Valley, and back in the 70s, the pollution was a lot worse here. But here's the difference, and here's the difficulty specifically in the Antelope Valley, is that we're greatly impacted by more populated areas that surround us. We get a lot of transport pollution from the Los Angeles basin, the Los Angeles area. We get a lot of transport pollution from the San Joaquin Valley in the Bakersfield area. So locally, we try to do our best, but also we need our neighbors to clean up also, and they are, but it's just a long, drawn-out process.
Well, thanks very much for your insight this morning and for your time, and we'll track down Tom DiPrima and congratulate him on his award.
You're welcome. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. This is K&B's tract at 52nd Street West and Jade Court, just off of Avenue J. These are the models, and across the street you can see solar panels on the roof of these 11 homes. The inverters are in the garage, and they come standard on the homes because the city of Lancaster has said that they would like all the home builders to put solar saving panels on the roof. Copper Moon, the subdivision of homes here in Lancaster off Avenue J, right across the top of their sign you see solar included. These homes sell from the mid-300s, and Tom DiPrima, a well-known K&B executive, received an award this morning at the Air Quality Management District for smog-eating tile, among other things, that he puts on his roofs. Achievement in Reducing Emissions, the A.I.R.E Award, presented to our guest today, Mr. Tom DiPrima. And I'm here with Tom at one of his housing communities on the east side of Lancaster. Tom, what can you tell me about this great award?
Well, KB Home is extremely excited about winning this award. We've put a lot of focus into sustainability for a lot of reasons. You know, obviously in foremost, it's one of the great things it's the right thing to do. It's great for the environment, but it's also very good for our customers. You know, we're taking home ownership to a whole nother level. Our homeowners today, they want to see the same technology they're seeing in their automobiles.
Sure.
They want to have that new smart technology. They want the efficiency. You know, new cars, clearly the sound is better, their ride has gotten better, you know, the efficiency has gotten better, and they want to see kind of that same new technology in their homes. More important, we're all cost savvy today. You know, we haven't fully recovered, and you know, affordability is very, very important to our customers, and we're trying to affordability can't just stop with the price of the home. It has to go to from the beginning to the end, and you've got the mortgage side, but then you have all the back end costs. You've got your gas costs, you've got your electrical costs, and what we've started to focus in is if we can make these homes more affordable. We've taken a commitment as a company to build, so KB Home has this great commitment to build all our new homes to Energy Star standard. What does Energy Star standard mean? It means we're bringing in a third-party rating company to watch us build that home, look over our shoulder through the entire construction process. And at the end, they're going to go through and measure everything in that home and certify that it not only meets the minimum building standards, it's going to exceed those standards by 10 to 15%. What's great with that is you're getting a home. You know, so you've got a home that's being built to the minimum standards.
Sure.
It might be across the street.
Sure.
And no one's looking at it. They're just taking calculations and assuming the insulation was installed right, the ductwork was put in the right direction, that the ductwork's sealed and it's not leaking. If they're not really certifying that, you may not even be getting the minimum standards. For us, that's not good enough. We're actually having someone test the duct at the end, watch the installation going into the home, making sure everything is done correctly, making sure the polyseal got done correctly at the plate. So all those areas of infiltration that not only let heat and cold in, let heat and cold out, are not happening, so that home's performing at a very high level. You take our patented energy performance guide, much like the MPG, APG, lets the consumer walk into that home and see this particular home we're sitting in, couple thousand square feet. The typical energy cost for this home would be about $279. Based on this home with the base 1.5 solar system that comes standard with this home, some of the LED lighting, the energy efficiencies built into this home was certified at 15% above the minimum standards and could be 50 to 60% higher and more efficient than a home built maybe as early as 8 years ago. Certified, real, dropping that energy cost down to $129. What could we do with $150 more for groceries, for other things in our life that maybe we weren't even
Soccer uniforms, Little League uniforms.
Life, books for the kids, you know, just life.
Yeah.
That we may not have thought about when we went in. And so
Sure.
we're trying to demonstrate that.
Now, the operations manager at the Air Quality Management District, Brett, I asked him specifically why he gave KB Homes the award for 2012 and 2013, and he said because of their solar programs and their tile that eats smog. Well, that's a great catchphrase, the tile that eats smog, but his first emphasis was the solar. And I drove around your community before this interview, and I saw just about every house has 2, 6, 8, 12, some even more solar panels. So could you explain the solar aspect to me?
So going back a few years, we partnered with the city of Lancaster, and we built a home. At that time, it was kind of called the Home of the Future, and The caveat was we wanted to take solar to a production pace home, and we also added in something that hadn't been done in a production-based home, been done in some custom homes, but hadn't done on a production basis. We added in a battery backup system, so it literally could take the solar energy, put it into batteries and store it in the home, and then they could be used at night or maybe in the event of a grid. One of the things I think a lot of people don't know about solar is they think if the sun's out and the power goes off that you're going to have power. Well, unfortunately, for safety standards, solar ties into the main panel from simplicity, it ties into the grid. So if the grid is off, your solar's off. Even though it's making solar, you don't have power in your home.
Yeah.
With a battery backup system, you actually would have the ability to use your battery because it's a DC system, and there wouldn't be that concern that if the power came back on and you had a surge, someone could get shocked.
Yeah.
Because you're working off a DC system. So we could generate 15, 18, 20 kilowatt hours, and let's say you're someone living on an electrical oxygen machine. That could be very crucial to you in the event of a power outage, where, how about on a more simplistic basis? You're on vacation, you're gone for 10 days, we have a brownout for 2 days, and you happen to have your battery backup tied to your refrigerator, all your food's not spoiling. You might have it tied to your refrigerator and a couple key outlets where you could run a radio or a TV and know why that brownout is, and get information in the event maybe it is a weather phenomenon, or heaven forbid an earthquake or something of that nature.
Sure.
So those are some of the features we demonstrated. Interesting, when we did that home, we got that home. So KB Home was able to design this with a partnership with Build Your Dreams, BYD, City of Lancaster, and we were able to get that home to produce net zero electrical. So it was generating more electrical than the home was using. It wasn't net zero as we're heading in 2020. All homes will have to be built to a net zero carbon footprint, and basically what that means is that we have to offset gas use because we haven't figured out a way to make gas yet. So even though natural gas is very affordable, clean energy, we still have to offset that to get to net zero carbon. So the way they do that is by producing excess electricity, and there's a formula that takes BTUs and kilowatts, and by excess kilowatt you would eliminate the BTU, so you'd get to net zero. That home was net zero electrical, but not net zero. It had almost 14 kilowatts of power on it. Today, we've been able to design a home, 2,500 square feet, that only takes about 6 kilowatts of power, yet it can get to net zero. And one of the things we learned from that a few years ago is you have to reduce before you produce. So you can't just gluttonly use energy anywhere you want and just offset it by covering the whole roof in solar. It's interesting you mentioned you see some roofs with 2, 6, and 8. These panels have gotten more efficient. You can get a panel now, 250, 300, 100 watts, that you could be getting to a kilowatt or so with a couple panels nowadays. So they've gotten smaller, more efficient, and on top of that, the homes aren't needing as much solar because we're making them more energy efficient, and we're, so 40, 50, 60% more efficient, doesn't need as much power to get to zero.
Sure. Well, I noticed sun power signs on your literature and the packages, solar packages that a new homeowner could buy. And what's your experience with sun power?
Well, one of the things at KB Home is we do a lot of research and looking at companies we like to partner with, and we're looking for companies that have a lot of the same focuses, very, very committed to customer service and warranty after the fact, ability to perform. In our dealings with SunPower, they were the right company for us to partner with when we went to a standard solar package within California. One of the things we love with SunPower is they brought a lot to the table for us. We first started looking at, okay, what inverter do we use? What panel do we use? We didn't even think about things like, well, what is the warranty like? What does the panel look like 25 years from now? How do you monitor it? And SunPower had all those answers. They brought to us a program where our homeowners are getting a monitoring program included with the solar, so they're not just getting the solar. They brought in a
monitoring means showing how efficiently the panel is converting sun to electrical power.
Yeah, it takes it a step further than that. One of the things great about monitoring is, one thing I love about monitoring for me as I have solar on my home is it's my ATM on my house. So if I'm having a bad day and maybe my stock's down, I can always go and look at my monitoring of my solar, because you know what, if the sun's out or if it's cloudy, it's still making power, and it's always green, you know, and green in
right. And
cash.
for you,
So
green means.
But there's another feature about monitoring that's great. I've actually had incidents where SunPower's called us and said, hey, we need to get out to homeowner, you know, 2242 on Emerald Lane, because we noticed that they've got a panel not performing through monitoring of the monitoring.
Well,
They know before the homeowner even knows, and before time has gone on and you've lost money, you know, income, because it wasn't producing.
is that true? They monitor all their panels.
They monitor them all. They have been able to monitor how many homes we did, how many kilowatts each home to, what the performance is at, and they've actually been able to give us some stats on what does that look on carbon offset. You know, KB Home is one of the only builders, national builders, public builders, that's filed a sustainability report. We're really proud of that. May not always look pretty, but you have to measure yourself somewhere to improve.
Sure.
And it's through these corporate partnerships and things that we're doing.
Sure.
We're getting better every year in that sustainability report, and it's bringing in companies like SunPower that bring so much to the table for us in that partnership, with the quality of the product they're giving, the monitoring system that they're providing to our customers standard. And we were able to put this together in a package where we're buying the panel, and that homeowner owns that panel from day one. It's not a lease and they have to worry about whether they pass it on or what percentage they're getting. They're getting 100% of the savings from the day that panel gets turned on.
And the tax credit goes along with that?
The tax credit, the way it's structured with the tax credits, federal tax credits, we can't take that tax credit. So that goes directly to the homeowner as well in their first year in the home. So that gets passed on directly to the homeowner as well. Some of the programs and incentives out there today are so great that if the homeowner takes the base 1.5 system and upgrades it to maybe a 3.2 or 3.4 system, they're actually paying, almost getting as much back in tax credit as it's costing to upgrade.
Oh.
So we're seeing the take rate on those extremely high from our customers, because it's really nothing to think about. You know?
Sure.
Oh, I can pay 5, for example, and get 5 back. Why wouldn't I do that? Well, that's only on the cost.
Yeah. Now, Tom, what's this about smog-eating tile that I heard the other day? That's the first time I ever heard that.
So another national partner with us is Boral. Boral has a product. They've actually been using it in Europe for many years.
Wow.
We were the first to bring it to the United States, and we've actually brought it right here in Lancaster to our home of the future. And basically, it's a regular concrete clay tile. When you look at it, you wouldn't know it different from a house without it. It's got an injected catalyst system into the tile that is designed so that as smog comes down and sits onto the tile, it creates a chemical reaction, produces oxygen and nitrogen. The nitrogen sits on the roof, the oxygen goes into the atmosphere, and then when it rains, the nitrogen's washed off into your yard, and you're fertilizing your lawn. So it's 100% organic and healthy, and a typical home, about 2,000 square feet, would actually, with smog-eating tile, would actually reduce or offset the carbon footprint of one automobile traveling 10,000 miles a year.
Is that right? Gee,
you can imagine,
yes, yes.
If you can imagine, if we could get that on every home in the United States, probably wouldn't impact traffic, but we'd be impacting it as if they weren't there.
Sure, sure, sure. Well, that's a great feature, and I don't think too many people have heard about that yet.
No, you know,
But it's not standard on all of the KB homes in Lancaster.
It's not standard on our homes. It's something we offer as an option to our customers.
Okay.
You know, it hasn't had quite the take rate we'd like, because it's one of those things that's kind of good for the environment, but doesn't necessarily help the customer in savings or improved efficiency. It performs the same as a regular tile roof.
Right.
But you know, in some markets it's done better for us, in other markets not as well. I mean, we're definitely seeing the focus from our customers when it comes to home efficiency is the items that really are going to save them. You know, to save green, to save them money.
Sure. So the smog-eating tile would actually cost them more.
It's a few dollars more. It's not
in their mortgage payment.
Yeah, it's not substantially more. It's a few $100s more to add it to the home.
Okay.
But we're seeing homeowners really going after things like the LED lighting above me, that if you looked at that light, you'd say, that's an LED? Wow, it looks like a regular incandescent light.
Right.
You know, putting out 700 looms, about the same as a 75 watt
Sure,
light bulb
sure.
at 9 watts.
And flesh tone color too. It
Yeah.
looks like it doesn't have that harsh white
Yeah.
light that you usually think of with
That
LED
particular finish
lights.
is a soft white, much
Yeah.
like a soft white in a regular incandescent. They make a cool white. It gives you that little bit more kind of blue, brighter light look.
Sure.
It's amazing when you put them next to an incandescent light nowadays. You can't tell the
Can't
difference. All you know is that it stays cool, so it's not adding heat into your home.
Yeah.
And it's far more energy efficient at about 9 watts.
Wow. Yeah. So Tom, you were telling me about water conservation in your homes.
Right. One of the things you'll see if you look at the front of our models, and you'll look at a lot of what we're doing in our homes. I mean, we've talked a little bit about energy, but we're also very focused on water consumption.
Okay.
You know, as we all know, we're out here in the high desert, and water is very precious for us.
Right.
Water has started to become a shortage,
Yeah.
and so we all need to conserve. One of the things that KB Home did about 2 years ago as a standard in all our homes is all our faucets, all our toilets, all our water fixtures are water sense. And so they're actually certified where they are using less water, gallons per minute, and they're conserving water. We were one of the first builders actually sat on the task force with both the City of Palmdale and the City of Lancaster on the new drought-tolerant landscape ordinance. And we showed them some things we could do that could make that look a lot more aesthetically pleasing than just gravel out there. You know, our company actually sat on the task force in Nevada when they first started to bring it to Las Vegas, and I've gone and met with the people at Southern Nevada Water, and I learned a lot from them. And you know, one of the things they talk about a lot is their sod buyback program, and how their mentality is, when I get that water, I get it forever. We actually did a study with the City of Lancaster on 200 homes. We built the first 100 were done with regular landscaping, the second 100, which were, by the way, on a larger home site and a little bit bigger home with an extra bathroom. Those were done with the new drought-tolerant landscape and the water sense fixtures. The homes with the sod, without the water sense, we're using almost 1.2 acre-feet of water a year, and the new homes are using about 0.62. That's about half the water consumption, and if we could be doing that on every home, we could be building 2 homes for every 1 acre-feet instead of maybe 3/4 of a home. So that's one of those things we're really focused on, and you know, they perform the same. They're designed to...
The homeowner wouldn't know the difference, probably.
Actually, one of the things that they do when they build a water sense fixture is they actually work on the pressure that comes out, so when you touch it and feel it, you're feeling the same pressure as you would. It's just using less water.
Oh,
it's cleaning, it's efficient, it's doing all the same, but it's actually using less water.
Tell me.
Okay, so here's our KB Home has patented the Energy Performance Guide. What's great with this guide is it works much like a new automobile would. You know, when we're out looking for that new car, what's better than Prius 50 miles to the gallon?
Right.
And so what this is telling you is that this particular home, based on all the features in this home, was a third-party rater came in. So these are licensed professionals that they're in with us from the start to the finish. They're in during the minute the foundation's down. They're in making sure how the plate goes down and how it's sealed. All the caulking, all the insulation, the installation of the windows, all those things they're looking at, all the way down to the very end, testing the ductwork, making sure there's no leaks, ultimate performance, all those things. And then they give us a percentage of where the home finished.
Okay.
This home finished out at 15% more efficient than the minimum building requirements.
Oh, okay.
So this home would meet the standards for Energy Star, which has to exceed the minimum building requirements by 15%. Additionally, you could have a home that, to me, I think of a home 8 years old. I think of that as still a pretty new home.
Yeah.
So if I were looking maybe between a resale that's 8 years old and this home, that home has been through, or there's been 2 code updates since that home was built. That home could be anywhere between 30 to 40% less efficient than the minimum requirements. And anywhere between 50 to 60% less efficient than this new home.
Sure.
What that equates to is, at the bottom line for the consumer is, what do they want to know?
Yeah.
Well, this home, based on its square footage and general use, you know,
Yeah.
it doesn't account for putting a pool in with 5 pool motors, but if you're in the normal use of running your air conditioning, normal uses today, would have an estimated energy cost of $271. Now, obviously, if you run your air more and you put in a pool and you're running your pool motor, this could be even higher. It's not going to be less. But the average typical cost is about $271. This home, the way it's equipped, based on the energy efficiency, based on the solar system with this home, that's standard, you would pay $129 in energy costs. What could you do with $150 more a month in savings?
Yeah, today.
So you need to make other decisions today on not just simply looking at the price of the home or the payment of the home. You have to think of the whole cost of the home. And you know, you might buy a home that's $10,000 cheaper at $4 or $5 a thousand. You're only talking about $40, $50 a month. You think you had great savings, but you could be paying upward more of this energy cost.
Sure.
And so you're really paying more than you could with a new home with these kind of features.
That's a hot water heater, huh?
So that's a tankless hot water heater. What's great about that is it's going to use less energy. One of the advantages of tankless versus a hot water heater is during the day, your water heater doesn't know you're not home.
Right.
So when the temperature gets cold on the water, boom, the gas fires up and it heats that water.
Tries to keep that water always the same.
If you don't use it, it starts to cool down again, and it's doing that all day.
Sure.
This only heats water as the water's going through it. So it
Really?
tends to use less water, and it definitely is a savings on gas.
Now, you're a family man, as I am, and if you have 5 kids that all want to take a shower, one right after the other, how does this work? You just keep heating water?
So the good and the downside of a tankless water heater is, the great thing is, as a child of 5 with 4 sisters, I never knew what a hot shower was like.
Right.
My kids with a tankless water heater don't know what a cold shower is like because of the fact that it will continue to make hot water. So there's no warning that 5 minutes in the water got cold, time to get out. So that's the downside, is they can actually consume more under that basis.
Yeah.
But they are certified through WaterSense because of the fact that they tend to actually reduce water use. But more so, they're a savings on energy because you're not having that gas going on and off. The gas is only being drawn when it's being used.
Sure. Well, that certainly is small. And then these are solar inverters, I guess.
So what you're seeing on the left is you're seeing the disconnect for the solar.
Okay.
That's required so that you can disconnect the power from the feed going back to the grid. It's part of the safety features built in, so in the event the fire department came out, they can get to the disconnect and turn the power off. And then what you're seeing here is the actual SunPower solar inverter.
Okay.
And you can see, you know, I don't know how well you can see some of the things. We can actually scroll through a little bit, and so it's telling you the inverter's okay.
Right.
It's telling you that today's Wednesday. I've got a hope for you. Turn the light on. So your total is 4,433 kilowatts have been produced. Your peak today was 2,716. And I don't even know all the various things.
Yeah. No, I understand, but
it's telling you the different. So you can see how this panel is moving around a little bit. Let me see if I can get back to that for you. So this one panel is producing 86, while the other one's producing. So every panel performs a little different on the angle of the sun.
Right. Now I'm curious. You said that SunPower monitors all these panels.
So this actually, KB Home, another partner of ours is Schneider Electric and Weiser. We're now putting in a meter. So your panel on the side that's got all your breakers and your meter is pre-set up to where we can tie the inverter to that panel with a monitoring system. So as soon as the home has internet, you can go on to the internet and you can actually see what your panels are doing, and it actually will give you daily, weekly, monthly reports. So you can say, I want to see what I did over the last 7 days.
Sure.
I want to see what I did over 30 days. Or you might want to say year to date.
Sure.
What have I done? What's kind of interesting is you'll see how in the months leading up to like July and August, your performance goes up, 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 and then as you'll see as you start to get into December, it goes down. Shorter days, less amount of sun, production goes down a little bit. And you know, it's kind of funny, my largest energy bill before I had solar used to be August. My largest energy bill now is December. And it's not because I have a bunch of holiday lights up, it's just the fact that I produce a lot less energy in December than I do in July and August now.
I see. So Tom, we're talking about net metering, and let's say I have a 16-panel big system on my roof, and it's producing more electricity than I'm actually using because my kids have moved away to college. So at the end of the year, does Edison pay me anything back for that, or how does that work? Do you know?
Yeah, it does. The way it works with Edison is from the first day you get your bill, you actually are no longer required to make a payment to Edison for that month. The only thing you pay Edison for that month is your meter reading and your taxes, which is about $4. And then what will happen is you have to make sure you're reading your bill, and you'll see, okay, my energy use this month was $60. You have the option to pay them that $60 or wait until your annual period, which is 12 months from the time your solar was turned on. Okay. Once that annual period is created, so let's say mine was created in February, every February I will get a reconciliation bill from Edison.
Yeah.
And that bill could be one of two things. It could be that I owe them money or I have a credit. If I have a credit, I have two options. Edison will cut me a check and refund me that money, or I can apply it to the next year balance.
Okay, and when you say refund money, is that retail rate, what you would be paying for it, or is there a PUC mandated rate of what they pay back?
It's calculated on much like your regular energy bill. So it's calculated on the same rate you're paying, and it's calculated on a net savings. So, you know, the secret to solar, and I tell people this all the time, if you're going to do solar on your home, don't worry about going to zero. Worry about staying in tier 1. Because if you look at your bill, it's the tier 2, the tier 3, the tier 4 where it exponentially gets so expensive.
Right.
In the first 20 days of the month, you might have only paid $30 in energy.
Right.
In the last 10 days, you might pay $500 in energy.
Yeah.
If you could put solar to only pay that $30, your return on your investment on solar is very, very short, 24 or 30 months. Yeah. And then it becomes a cash register for you, so it's a savings every month. Going to zero sometimes means you've got to put a lot more power, and it takes you out much further before you start seeing the savings. So the key is staying in that tier 1. So if you can be staying in tier 1 and making, and I like to make a little small monthly payment so that, but the reason that Edison does that is what happens in some cases is maybe in December you had an energy bill, and in say July you produced so much energy you had a credit that they don't want to have a situation you're paying them, they're paying you, you're paying, you're going back and forth. Yeah. So they do this now on an annual basis because they know in the summer you're going to produce a lot more energy, and a lot of those months you're actually going to have a credit coming to you. Sure.
Well, thanks very much for your time, and it's encouraging that you have solar on your own house and are using it and are happy with it.
Well, you know, it's funny, I do a lot of interviews, and the first thing, I'm very passionate about solar, and the first thing they'll ask me is, do you have solar? Kind of thinking they'll catch me. Well, so if it's so great, why not? And I always say yes, and you know, unfortunately I did it before our national contract with SunPower, but it was something that, as I started to explore the avenues for the company, I was so impressed with it, I said, I gotta have this.
You gotta have it.
And you know, being a contractor, I had the ability to do it myself, and
sure.
It's one of the best investments I've made in my home.
Sure.
My solar, I had budgeted for 42 months for paying my solar off, and I beat that by about 20 months. So
20 months.
Produced so much better than I ever anticipated. And initially, my first habit was, as I started doing the things we're doing in our homes, I started kind of going crazy, and I was changing out light fixtures from, you know, incandescents to LEDs. And at one point, my wife said, I don't want another LED in the house. I want another new window. But you know, I kind of went overboard. The one thing I always caution people when you get solar, because you start seeing the great savings and you don't have costs, you got to not let your habits change, because you still want to be, you know, kind of not cooling the home to 65 degrees.
Right.
You want to live the way that's comfortable for you, but don't get excessive with it, because you could reverse all the great things you're doing. And the two things we're trying to do is save ourselves money and also reduce that carbon footprint.
Sure. Well, congratulations again on the A.I.R.E Award from the Air Quality Management District, and best wishes for a recurring or resurgent economy here in the Antelope Valley for home building. Thanks again for your time.
Thank you for your time today.